What's up guys, Card Protagonist here. Today I'll be doing a deck profile on Yuga's DraKnight deck from SBD04 Dragoknight. Gaga's latest evolution features G-Boost, an ability that grants incredible power to its allies, making every attack you declare extremely deadly. So now instead of evolving Gaga with its previous ability G-Evo, the deck's new winning image is to swing as much as you can with your size 1 monsters, giving love to smaller units such as the Guard Trio. What I like about the new DraKnight is that G-Boosts aren't badly affected by control cards, since G-Boost is a lingering effect that stays for an entire turn. Destroying or resting Gaga won't matter as long as he has other units to carry on its mission. No walls are too big for G-boosted units to break, and it's no longer too reliant on having its base and evolution to swing for big numbers. This deck swings for a minimum of 30 damage per turn, just by having Gaga for 8, Cat for 8, Weapon for 6, call another cat with Saber for 8, making a grand total of 30. There are tons of cool combos you can perform to make those numbers huge, so let's check it out! For the buddy, we'll be using Gargantua Night Dragon, Yuga's current buddy in the manga series. Gargantua Night Dragon is the main engine of the deck, and therefore I've used him as buddy because you'll be calling him every single game. Without him, the deck will not work because there's so many cards that requires you to have a G-Boost on the field. Fortunately, the deck has extreme draw power, and G-Boost unit can be searched out by Gardock. So first up, the MVP of the deck, 4 copies of Gargantua Night Dragon. He must be maxed out at 4 right now because he is the main engine and the only G-Boost we play in the deck. So Night Gaga has a cost of 2 gauge and putting the top card of the deck in its soul. He has Soul Guard so he won't be easily removed on the field. He has G-Boost base. G-Boost abilities trigger at the beginning of the attack phase and it lingers throughout the turn. So even if Gaga were to leave the field, the G-Boost ability will stay and any monster you call during a turn still gains its ability. For this turn, all cards on the field gain 1 million attack power. That's insane. I don't know whether they did it for the comical effect, but damn, 1 million is a huge amount of number. Then if you have another DDT on the field for this turn, all DDT, including weapons, gain +2 critical and penetrate. So Gaga not only gives all your units +1 million attack power, it gives them extra 2 critical and a penetrate ability. He has an inbuilt double attack, so you'll be swinging 4 crit each time. A really awesome unit. So one way to utilize this build is to call many small monsters, and I'm really enjoying the new playstyle of Dragots. Next up, 2 copies of Guard Dragon High Guard 4. He's a very powerful unit in this deck because he has a quadruple attack. Combined with Gaga's ability, you'll be able to swing 4 crits 4 times, which means by itself you gain 16 attack power. He has a core cost of 2 gauge and putting top card of the deck in its soul. Most importantly is the second ability. If a Dragon monster is on the field, this card size is reduced by 2. So basically you'll be able to pair him together with Gaga. So you have a powerful Gaga with an extremely deadly quadruple attack because buffed by Gaga's ability, 4 crits 4 times is just amazing. And also one reason why this card is amazing is because of its third ability. Nullify all abilities of your opponent's monster. In battle with this card, this ability cannot be nullified. So one way you use this card is against cards with lots of Soul Guard. Just one poke and that whole monster goes bye-bye. So yeah, this card is totally aces due to its awesome quadruple attack. Now one of Guard Trio's 4 copies of Gardock, the smart and intelligent Gardock. Gardock is basically a fetcher for our G-Boost. When this card enters the field, you may discard 1 card. If you do, charge 1 gauge, then search your deck for 1 G-Boost base from your deck and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So basically with this card, you'll be consistently getting your Night Gaga. Its second ability is if you have a Dragon on the field, this card attacks cannot be nullified when it's attacking alone. Basically with Gaga around, Gardock's 4 crit is guaranteed to hit. So it's pretty cool. Next up, 4 copies of the hyperactive Garcat, Awakened DT Dragon Garcat. When this card enters the field, you have a monster with G-Boost on the field, you can draw a card. So it's similar to its old form, which allows you to get extra cards to your hand. But right now, this Awakened form has an extra ability. When this card attacks, and its power is 10k or more, you gain 1 life and deal damage to your opponent. It has an inbuilt double attack, which makes it really powerful, especially when stacked with the G-Boost ability, since you'll be 3 crit base and you can burn 1 extra damage whenever it attacks. So in total, this guy is an 8 crit monster, which makes it as strong as Gaga itself. Its draw ability is also not once per turn, making a great balance between offense and defense. We still play 2 copies of the old Garcat because of his awesome charge and draw. When this card enters the field and have another DDT on the field, you can charge and draw 1. So yep, mostly use that as an extra charge and draw because it's not once per turn, so you can actually spam it. But do be careful of loyalty because it does shut down the deck a little bit. Now we play 2 copies of Tikadra. It is one of the older cards that attack in the deck because it allows you to initiate a first turn kill, which is always awesome when you put it off. When a Dragon monster enters the field, you can draw a card. So someone is pre-need for size 1 to allow you to draw 1 card and have an offensive ability. Its main ability is second ability. When this card attacks and have a Dragon on the field, which is pretty much guaranteed since we'll be using Gaga all the time. For this turn, this card gains 1 extra crit and double attack. Getting boosted by G-Boost, it makes it a crit of 5, and you can use an impact of 5. So first turn, if you have this together with Gaga, it's a first turn kill. And also during late game, having a 5 crit double attack is no joke as well. And finally, 2 copies of size 0 Gar Swallow. I really like this guy because not only he's cute, his ability is very useful in the deck. With this deck ability to spam core size 1 and below, this card is actually very useful because its ability is not once per turn and it allows you to return it back to your hand. So at the end of the battle, this card attacks and is 10k or greater, you may bounce it back to hand, Boomerang Dragon, charge 1 gauge, gain 1 life and draw a card. The reason why I pay 2 tech-ins Guard Swallow is because of these cards. This card basically allows you to get extra core every single turn. So sometimes if you do not have any monsters on the hand, you have 1 Guard Swallow, you can use Guard Swallow attack, bounce back, use ability, call again, bounce it back again. And with Gaga's G-Boost, that's what you want to be doing as many attacks as you can. So 2 copies of Guard Swallow. Now let's go into the spells. First up, we play 4 copies of Gargantua. Gargantua is a re-O card and finally is very well utilized in this deck because you'll be able to call extra size 1 and below from your drop zone while charging 1 gauge. So it's a counter ability, charge 1 gauge, then call up to 1 size 1 or less DDT monster from your drop zone by paying its call cost. Really awesome in this deck because right now your main goal is to actually just keep Gaga on a field, spam core size 1s and below, and you can deal huge amount of combo damage. And I really like it because you use it offensively and defensively. Offensively, as in you can call extra Garcats. Every single Garcat will be swinging for 8 crits, and during your opponent's turn, you can always call your other form of Garcats or any Garcat. This guy also could do it because you could just draw 1 card, or you could call the old Garcat to charge and draw. So 4 copies of Gargantua because it's such a flexible card. Next up, 4 copies of the new shield, Combat Deity Dragon Shield Base. Counter ability, you can choose and cast one of the following. If you have a cast with G-Boost based on a field, you can stand a DDT monster on your field. Really useful, especially if you're going for game. So not only you'll be able to reduce damage to 0, during your turn if you want to push for game, you can always use this shield, resend any of the monsters and push for game. 4 copies of base shield because it's just an awesome card. Now 3 copies of the secret pack card, Gar E-Burst. You may only cast a card when you activated G-Boost this turn. Pay 2 life, counter ability, charge 2 gauge, draw 2 cards, then call a DDT monster from your hand by paying its call cost. Basically, after you swing up all your monsters, you can just call any one of these monsters. I highly recommend this one because it does the highest DPS right now. Second place is Tikadra. And Garcat actually is much better than Gaga, surprisingly, because Garcat, when he enters the field, can draw 1 extra card. In total, it actually does 8 damage, similar to Gaga. These are some of the targets you can choose from. It basically gives you extra cards in your hand, extra gauge, and gives you extra push. An excellent card overall. Next, 3 copies of G-Boost Over. G-Boost Over is a triple red from the new set. It is also insane draw power. Basically, you can only cast this card when you have a G-Boost on the field. Look at the top 3 cards of the deck, put up to 2 of them into your hand and put 1 into the gauge. So look at top 3 to draw 2 and charge 1 is just too dang good. 3 copies of the classic Dragoknight. Dragoknight is still an excellent card because it allows you to fetch your items or salvage 2 different monsters from the drop zone. So yeah, it's still a very flexible card, allows you to search for item or retrieve some monsters from the drop zone. More draw power, Gar Oracle. You may only cast card if you have a DDT on the field, 1 gauge, draw 2 cards, and if you have a Dragon on the field, gain 2 extra life as bonus. An above average nice one is always welcome in my deck. Next is 2 cards from the secret pack, DraKnight Strash. You may only cast card with G-Boost on the field. So cast cost is pay 1 gauge, destroy all cards on the opponent's field. That's insane because you can destroy both monsters, set spells and items, and draw a card and deal 1 damage to your opponent for each card you destroy. So usually when I cast this card, I destroy 3 cards, which means you're paying 1 gauge, breaking your opponent's board and drawing 3 extra cards and dealing 3 damage to your opponent. This card is actually insane because it gives you control, damage and draw power at the same time. And the last 2 spells of deck is 2 copies of Gar Surgeon. It's just there for extra draw power. You may only cast this card if you've attacked 3 or more times. It's basically kind of like a Bard Sex Link, but instead of checking top 3, you draw 2 cards and gain 2 life. Because sometimes you really want to have extra monsters in your hand so they can abuse with the weapon, which allows you to call extra cards. Now let's go into the weapons. 3 copies of Gar Twin Saber. Looks like Yuga finally have a lightsaber, and it's definitely one of the coolest Dragon War weapons to exist. So equip cost 1 gauge, 1 life. If a Dragon's on your field, all DDT on your field cannot be destroyed, and their abilities cannot be nullified by one card effect. And it also has a really powerful counter ability. If a card of G-Boost base is on the field, call up to 1 size 1 or less DDT monster from your hand by paying its card cost. You may only use this ability once per turn. So once again, your main core target will be these 2, giving you extra beatdown and pushing for game. During your opponent's turn, you can always call the cats to protect your center. Since you do not play any move in this deck, these cards are very crucial, especially when protecting your life points. And finally, the impact of the deck is 3 copies of Deity Gargantua Crusher. This reminds me of 100 Demons series where Gao actually uses the Giga Howling Crusher. This art is really awesome as well. You may only cast this card if your opponent's life is 5 or less, there's no monster on either player's center, and you have used G-Boost during this turn. At a cost of 1 tiny gauge, you'll be able to do 5 damage to your opponents. This card cannot be nullified and its damage cannot be reduced. This is the peak performance for the Punisher series. By simply paying 1 gauge, you'll be able to do 5 whopping damage, just half life. And also, these cards are very easy FTK with just these 2 cards. When this card's on the field, G boost body, this guy gains 2 extra crits, and he self gain 1 extra crit. So basically, he swing 5, cast Punisher, and it's game. First turn, FTK, easy. And that's the main reason why this card, and yeah, it's a very good card overall for the FTK or just general beatdown. 3 copies of Deity Gargantua Crusher because it's one of the best impacts out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on US DraKnights. So which deck from Dragoknight would you like to see next? I've left a poll on the videos, so make sure to comment and vote for your favorite deck. And also, if you're looking for decks like these, support me by checking out my online shop www.cardprotagonist.com. Links in the description box down below. We mail worldwide right to your doorstep. So till next time, keep on buddy fighting!